Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Closing Time. I am your host, Michael Lucarelli, the CEO of RentSpree. I'm very excited to be hosting this podcast where I get to have great conversations with some of the leading voices in real estate. In this episode, I'll be talking to Santanu Baru, the Chief Technology Officer at VESTAPLUS Software Solutions and at the MLS. Santanu, welcome and thank you so much for joining. It's been a long time. We've known each other for so long, and I'm very, very excited to have you with us today.
Michael, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So to start off, and I apologize because even I don't think I know a whole lot about your background, even though we've been on panels together, we've talked so much, but I know you're the CTO now. I've known Annie and Vesta Plus and the MLS even back when it was Claw. And I would just love though to hear a little bit of your background and how you got involved with real estate to begin with, and then how you ultimately ended up at Vesta Plus.
Sure. I'm originally from India. I came to the United States in the early 90s as a student. And then I'm a software engineer by qualifications. And right after school, I got into some engineering jobs. I worked in industries from mobile technology into consulting during the tech boom era. Worked as a consultant. I traveled across the country, worked on many exciting projects, working for big companies, and then went through the tech bust. And little did I know that I was entering another boom, and I got hired by Countrywide, now Bank of America. I worked into mortgage banking, and that was my first foray into, connected with real estate. And then I worked through there, and in 2006, I decided to move on to the combined LA Westside MLS, and that's where I've been, ever since. And yeah, that's my story.
So you got your first taste of real estate when you were working in banking, and you were
Yes,
maybe working on the lending side just a little bit, maybe, and then you just thought, hey, I love this so much, I want to just go all in and I want to go on to the MLS side of things.
that's correct, right? I wanted to see all aspects of the real estate. I didn't like what we were doing up in Countrywide, during those times. And I said, it's time that I moved on to the other side.
Well, I really love the background that you have too, because I always feel like our industry becomes better when we bring in some more diverse background and experiences. And I think you obviously bring a diverse background with where you're from. And then your experience, I think, also kind of coming and working from outside of prop tech back then. Could you talk a little bit about how those things might help you with your role here?
Absolutely. My background as a consultant when I was early in the years gave me the diversity of experience. I worked in varied industries such as telecom to hospitality and creating software, very disparate, but really trying the key aspects of software engineering where we needed to understand each and how we could kind of distill the business rules for different industries and create valuable software that would kind of help people do their day-to-day tasks, right? And real estate is no different. When I moved from mortgage banking into the MLS world, we realized we needed to kind of understand and help agents do their work more effectively and present the ideas in a better perspective, be more efficient. That's what software engineers do. And for me, that was an easy transition. I started working for a company that kind of believed in kind of helping the agents. So we were trying to experiment, tinker with any software that made sense. We always wanted to kind of think outside the box. That was some of the the vision that Annie Ives, our CEO at Claw, had, were to create a software that would be more intuitive and effective for the agent. And so doing that as an engineer was the right place for me.
And I think you have a very unique style of leadership that I've seen, Santanu. I think you're very hands-on in general, and I think this is a really great quality that you have. And being a big shot CTO, I mean, this is really, really great, and I'm sure it helps you a lot. To get to where you are today and to have this style of leadership, is there any influential individuals or mentors that you've had in your career to help you get to this point that influenced you in a positive way?
Oh, absolutely. I've had mentors in every spot. I think one of the best things I've learned is to be able to recognize and learn from the best. Starting from my first boss, where I started working and learning about being how to be an effective software engineer to working with anywhere to understand how important it is to pay attention to the needs of the agents, to be able to listen and to be able to adapt to the varying needs. Real estate, even since I have joined, has changed considerably. Our software itself has morphed with the times. When I joined the company, it was based early on in the early 2000s. It was based on cold fusion. We started re-architecting and building it into a more adaptive .NET based platform. And now our software not only is still predominantly .NET driven, but we use many new technologies propelling us into the mobile world, and also we are using AI at this point. All of these things are again built on the belief that as in especially in the software industry, it needs to learn to be able to adapt with the changing times. And yeah.
That's great. And it seems like there's kind of two key points. And the first one is to make sure that you're really understanding the user and wanting to support and help them. And then making sure that you can adapt because things don't stay the same, especially in this industry. And maybe it moves a little bit slower than others in some ways, but it seems like it's getting faster and faster these past couple of years somehow. But this also reminds me when I first founded RentSpree, I also needed to understand the agents, and so I ended up getting my real estate license back then, and I would just basically call random brokers and just want to present about, hey, we have this random rental software and I'd love to come and talk to you about it and present to your agents. And just getting a lot of that feedback, it helped us make sure that when we started iterating more and more on the product and improving it, we were taking into account real agent feedback and making sure that it solved real problems. So I would actually go to the agents in my office and I would sit with them at open houses and watch what they did with their rentals. So I think this was pretty fun for me also at the time, but not something I ever did before. And as even for us now, I think it's still an ongoing challenge to make sure we don't lose touch with the user because, hey, like RentSpree's gotten bigger. I know you guys also have been growing a lot over the past couple of years, but for us, it's a little bit of a challenge to make sure that we still have that discipline to make sure we're continuously keeping up with users and still talking to them, still getting the feedback. So I'm curious, how do you make sure you continuously get feedback from agents to make sure that the product keeps up as well?
Absolutely. That's a great question, Michael. So, one of the ways that we make sure that we are building and listening to our agents is we have this continuous process of inviting agents to focus groups. So, basically, we have regular focus groups that are held every other month or every time we need to kind of ideate on any new product ideas. We invite our we open it up to our agents, and surprisingly we have a wonderful memberships who are willing to volunteer, give their time, share with us some of the ideas. And those many of those ideas of the products that we have built have come from our agents. Whether it was creating our own showing platform, even before it was trendy to create a showing product, we created our own, or whether to kind of address the needs of our compliance team who didn't like the software that they were using and wanted us to create a software that could kind of build or check for the compliance rules, where we would kind of be able to ensure that we have more correctness of data within our system. So that was the idea that germinated, created the product Checkmate, that is very well received these days and are used by several of the MLSs across the country. All those ideas came about from the interactions because of the ways that we are constantly listening to the needs of our agents or our staff. And these are just another example. And by the way, if I haven't said already, Michael, partnerships with RentSpree also came about because we felt that the RentSpree was doing certain things which we would have liked to do, but it did it so well, and we didn't want to reinvent that wheel again ourselves. And ever since we have been partners, all I hear is great things, how our agents love using RentSpree. And that's the kind of partnership that we kind of try to build, the product that we build or partnerships that we create working with companies such as yours.
That's great to hear for sure. Also, I think that you guys have a unique advantage because you're a technology company that also is associated with an actual MLS. So you do have a lot more access to users, probably, right? You can talk to agents and brokers more directly. Like you said, you have focus groups. You can probably look at support data as well in terms of what things are people calling about or are they making recommendations. So I think that's a great benefit for what you're providing in general. But I want to take a quick detour here because I think a lot of people see you around Santanu at conferences, but I think that they might not know that much about you. So, do you mind telling us one thing about yourself that most people probably won't know?
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I like, during the day I may be a software engineer at work, but once I get back home or during the weekend, I try to dabble with woodworking. I'm an amateur woodworker. I kind of learn. I use hand tools to kind of and I try to build. I made a cheese board for my wife to
Wow,
a rocking chair that she loves enjoying.
a rocking chair that,
Yes,
like, and it doesn't fall apart when someone sits in it?
it hasn't. That's
That's great. Wow. You have to send me a picture of the rocking chair. That's not easy.
yeah. It's one of those ways. I kind of started playing around and learning. It's not so different than software engineering. It requires a lot of planning and patience, and it's one of those great tension relievers. It lets me relax a lot, and when I'm working on myself at my bench at home, and I love doing that.
That's a really great hobby. I remember that when I was in high school, they actually had a woodworking club.
Yeah.
And I did the woodworking club for maybe like a month or two, and I did make a shelf,
Yeah.
and it wasn't the nicest shelf and it wasn't the neatest shelf, but my parents still have it, and it's nice that you feel like you made something with your hands and someone can actually use this and it's like something real.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm
That's exactly, in the joy that you get creating things on your own with your own hands, there's nothing like that.
yeah. So, can we talk a little bit more than in detail about Vesta Plus?
Oh,
So, I've been around in the LA area for a long time, and I don't know exactly when Vesta Plus was being started, but I've seen it evolve over time. And I remember when I first saw it, I was really impressed because even back then, and this might be like 6 years ago or something, even back then it already looked like really nice. The
yeah.
UI looked very modern even back then, which there's a lot of things out there now that don't look modern. But even like Vesta Plus, I think looked really good for years now. So can you talk a little bit more about what's the need for Vesta Plus that you're filling and what value does the software bring to agents?
Sure, absolutely. So the VESTAPLUS software, we have always had a system that we had built for ourselves. We being the combined LA Westside MLS Claw or the MLS.com. Around 2015 onwards, we started to feel that we were doing a pretty good job because the software that we had built was very reliable. But we felt that now maybe we could help other MLS build or kind of have the kind of software that we were being, using ourselves, that we had built for ourselves. That led us to the creation of Vesta Plus in 2018. So 2018, we literally created the brand Vesta Plus. It is built on the idea, very unique idea, being an unvendor, so to speak. We wanted, because we felt, we knew what it meant to be an MLS. We felt, like we had discussed earlier, we had this great resource of agents whom we can count upon to give us the feedback and to create a system that would be, understood and appreciated to do their work in the most effective way. And with that, objective, we started building VESTAPLUS software. So we created, every aspect of our software was built with the idea where we could lead agents to collaborate with their clients because that was one of the goals that they always expressed. So, and that theme permeates in every one of our products where basically be it the client dashboard that we created exclusively and uniquely enables our agents to collaborate with our clients, to the MLS Go mobile app that we created, which uniquely enables agents. It's an invitation only app that agents can use to invite their clients on their journey. And so that's one of the core principles that we follow. Every product has to meet or kind of help our agents to connect better with our agents. So with that in mind, the products are created, and we are not afraid to try new technology. Whenever there is new technology which is coming up, we try to find a way or a use case that may help address. So we are always kind of pushing the envelope, so to speak, in that regards. We have incorporated AI. We are kind of busy trying to kind of use computer vision to address some compliance needs in our Checkmate software. We're trying to kind of incorporate AI in other ways where we would be able to enhance listing input, what we are experimenting. These are some of the ideas of the products that are doing. We are we are always listening to our agents, and as things evolve, we're trying to do everything in our capacity to meet those needs which our agents are coming across.
I think that sounds great, and I love the principle that you mentioned, which is the principle of collaboration.
Yeah.
This is one that for us, it's also one of the really important product principles that we have, that we identified. And I obviously, RentSpree, and I think it's easy to just look at it and say, hey, there's a rental tool, right? But what we had found is that a lot of the existing tools out there, they really didn't take into account the fact that agents do need to collaborate with their clients. Obviously, we don't overlap with the type of collaboration that you have on Vesta Plus, but there's a lot of collaboration that happens, for example, between an agent and a landlord. But no one else or no other platforms really take this into account, which is kind of specific to agents. Because, hey, there's a lot of rental tools for like a landlord or maybe just a property manager, but these are agents. And so they need to access the tenant reports, but then maybe share them with their landlord client, and then have the landlord maybe make a decision and then send a lease for signature, or looking at who's accepting and denying and talking about it with their client. And no one really took into account the collaboration aspect when we talk about even a rental process like this. So I can definitely see that that's really, really important overall. What I want to talk a little bit more in detail, and now this might be a point where some people are going to fall asleep, but I'm very interested to hear about this from you, is because you guys do the listing input, I would love to hear from you what goes into that, because for me, this is a super complicated area. And I
Yeah.
think it's really underappreciated, and people underestimate how difficult that is. And it's something that you just expect it to be right, but it's really hard to get right. And if there's some small thing wrong, then it's a big problem and you're going to hear about it.
Sure.
So I would love to hear a little bit how you went about creating that, and even to the extent that you roll this out to other clients, there's a lot of nuance there and possible customization.
Yeah, Michael, that's a great question. You are absolutely correct. Listing input, even experienced agents get nervous when they're entering listings. That's, I think, one of the categories that we get most calls on. In our help desk, we have a help desk, so I know firsthand on that. So, however, it's a challenge that we wanted to kind of build an intuitive listing input. So that drove us when we kind of were working on a VESTAPLUS platform. We saw what was out there. Most listing input modules were big, long forms which went through, where agents would have to struggle through and enter fields, and
Now,
So
I know what that looks like.
yes, I'm sure you've seen those things, right?
I also remember too, when I became an agent, I had to go, and I was part of a different MLS back then, but we had to do, I remember the training that we got on doing like listing input. And at first I didn't know really why the training was necessary, but it is a very important part of an agent's job, and it's important to get it right. And
Yes.
I just couldn't even imagine all the compliance pitfalls that can happen, and just all that kind of stuff. So it is very nuanced for sure.
No, absolutely. A lot of data input, and nobody likes data entry, entering data, and each data is like a landmine. If you made a mistake, if you had square footage, the wrong square footage typed in, right? And it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. So you want to be sure that, so we needed to kind of create a listing input model that helped the agents. So we kind of tried to integrate it with the public record information that we had available. So enabling and helping agents to kind of only enter the fields that they felt were different from the public records. That absolutely helped the accuracy of the product, right? And then we also let them clearly mark them the ability to enter required only fields, right? So that if they were in a hurry in a hot market, they would have to enter only the information that was absolutely necessary, or if they were in a hurry. Or also we gave some stats on other fields which their fellow peers were entering, so that encouraged them to enter more information on properties. If they felt they were not entering whereas others were entering, it kind of encouraged them to fill those fields. So those were some of the examples of ideas that we incorporated in our new listing input model, right? And we felt, I can say, it was quite a success, because when we switched out our older module with the new model about 6-7 years ago, there was hardly any call, because everybody found that to be very intuitive, and even the most stressful module in a real estate MLS system had a very smooth migration into the new version of software. So I'm very proud of what the work that our team did, and I think our agents would appreciate that as well.
How about rolling it out to other MLSs who decide to choose Vesta Plus?
Yeah, rolling out. We have two other MLSs at this moment who are using the VESTAPLUS MLS platform. We have 13 other MLSs across the country now using our Checkmate product. We are very proud to have been in a kind of technical partnership with them. We consider each and every one of those MLSs our partners. We, just like we had done within our MLS, the same principle we extend to them. We are constantly talking with them. We are listening to their needs. I am actively participating in various MLS committees with the other MLSs, and we build product and enhance our product based on to suit their needs. We believe the best products need to be evolving, need to be able to address problems that the users who are using the product are bringing up to the table. And the only way to do that is to keep that connection always on with our clients.
Let's take another little detour here. I would love to know what's your favorite TV show right now.
Right now, I don't get to watch a whole lot of TV, but at this time, I think we are enjoying this medical drama. Since the 90s, we haven't watched. I still love watching ER, but now there's a new show in HBO Max called Pit, and I think I'm loving it.
I'll have to check it out. I haven't heard of that one before. The one that I just finished up was Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
And I like that one because I just lived in the San Fernando Valley for so long. So I'm like,
Sure,
oh
yeah.
yeah, this reminds me of some place that I called home for so long.
That's nice. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so I think maybe in closing, I would love to hear from you. What's the thing that you would tell people if they haven't checked out Vesta Plus yet?
Yeah, if you are an MLS that is in a need for something that would be intuitive, something that is, more attuned, interactive, and that helps out, to kind of give a new look at things, right? I would say, just give us a try. Vesta Plus could be the product that would do. And like I've already said many times, the product, we consider our clients to be our partners, and I feel products have to evolve continuously, and we would do everything in our capacity to meet your needs, and it is fully customizable and can be customized exactly to your needs, so that your agents and your members are most satisfied.
Sounds really great. That sounds really great. And where can people reach out if they want to see a demo?
You can reach us at vestaplus.net or themls.com. Those are two URLs that you can reach and request a demo for us.
That sounds great, Santanu. Well, it's closing time for this particular episode, and I want to thank you so much again for agreeing to be a guest. So thank you so much, Santanu. It's really a pleasure to have you here.
Michael, it was my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And for all of our listeners out here, this has been another episode of It's Closing Time with RentSpree, and we hope that you've enjoyed this conversation. As a reminder, please visit our website, rentspree.com, to learn more about our service. And also, if you enjoyed this episode, take a moment to provide a rating. Also, don't forget to check out Vesta Plus or the MLS. And finally, if you haven't checked it out, I would like to also direct your attention to a newer initiative that we have, which is called Renew. And this is Real Estate Network of Empowered Women. So this is something that one of our amazing team members, Lauren Martin, runs. We have a podcast for this. There's a website. Please search it and check it out. It's called Renew, Real Estate Network of Empowered Women. And I think you'll really enjoy that as well. Thank you so much. Take care.